Ma'am, can I see that summary?
This one?
Yes. Now, you have been here all week, and
Yes.
you've been in the witness room with the other witnesses?
Most of the time I was in a separate room.
Okay. Now, if you were aware that two of the Commonwealth witnesses have testified here today that Granny, Miss Waits, wanted the scrubgrass property surveyed so that it could be divided. If you knew that at the time you prepared this list, this $75,000 wouldn't even be on here, would it?
But I wasn't here.
Right, but now the jury knows that the Commonwealth witness, Leslie Pointer, testified that Granny wanted the property divided and she had to get a survey in order to do that. And Mr. Clay testified, Miss Waite's attorney, that we talked about dividing this property specifically the day that we met, and that's what she wanted. Why on earth would you attribute $75,000 to Ann Clay as an example of exploitation?
I object. May we approach?
Yes.
Sorry. Giving his characterization of the evidence as if to this witness, he's not including other witness testimony. He's giving this witness his version of what the jury heard the witnesses. They can draw their own conclusions, but he's presenting to this witness select testimony as if it's a fact. In other words, he's characterizing it to her that there's been no evidence whatsoever that all the evidence indicates that Mrs. Waits herself asked for this, and that's not true.
I didn't hear an objection, Your Honor.
What's the legal basis for the objection? That was just a bunch of random.
Misstating the witness at this point, or misstating the evidence to the witness.
Right.
It's cross-examination.
It is cross-examination.
But you still can't misstate what the judge is.
No.
Judge,
It wasn't misstated.
that's misstated. Did Leslie Pointer not say Granny
I'm
wanted this
saying,
done?
she's saying that. I didn't say it's right. I just said that's what she said.
Judge, if I may respond, she's including $75,000 as a summary of money exploited. I'm impeaching her with testimony that this jury heard that that's not true. And I'm asking her about her decision to include this under the chart of exploitated monies. And I get the right to do that based upon the evidence this jury's heard.
Ms. Salee testified that Granny did not want Ann to have the property.
She never met Granny, she
He's
said.
Doesn't matter. There was testimony to that extent.
That's what.
That's testimony that she said and said that.
Right.
In
And
2007.
He didn't mention that. He's mischaracterized the evidence to this witness.
That's
He
not true.
left that part out.
Well, I think that can be remedied on redirect. But there was other evidence to that extent as to why she would have done it.
He didn't question her about the $75,000. He was questioning her about the $7,400 survey.
No, Travis did. I'm asking her about the $75,000.
No, you said no.
The farm.
That's what you were asking about.
It is.
Yeah.
75,000 versus
The farm, he asked about the cost of the survey.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right.
We're trying not to duplicate things like the Commonwealth does, so that's why I'm doing one thing and he's doing another.
I thought Mr. Reynolds just asked her, stated that witnesses had testified that Granny wanted the property divided.
And they have testified to that.
Testimony to that extent.
Okay, but that goes to the survey, not to.
Mr. Clay testified to that.
What she
That's
was
her intent.
to get the,
So I think he can cross-examine on that issue at this point, based on his contentions, his side of the case. So the objection is overruled. You can ask. You may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll try to remember where I was. So the survey to divide the farm, you've attributed to Miss Rush as an example of exploiting Geraldine Waits. Is that correct? That's on your summary.
Because was not aware that that was in her best interest.
Okay.
Whenever.
So if you, at the time you prepared this, Leslie Pointer hadn't testified under oath that Granny wanted this done and we needed to get a survey to subdivide the property. Had you known that, you wouldn't have included this money.
To sell the property,
To gift it.
to gift it.
Had you known that, you wouldn't have included it on this chart, would you? Because that would not be an example of exploitation. That would be an example of her knowledgeable consent to gift this property to her daughters, her granddaughters, sorry.
Then I would have to think about, did we really have to spend $7,000 if it was being gifted?
So when you prepared this, you didn't have all the information, did you?
I did not hear testimony from Leslie
Sure.
whenever I did
You
that.
never talked to Leslie before
I
you
never
prepared
talked to
this.
Leslie.
So you wouldn't have known, and had you talked to her, she would have said, yep, that was Granny's intention, and you would have left that off.
The thing I would have questioned would been the amount of it.
Oh,
Whether
okay.
it was necessary, yes.
Well,
If we were gonna do it, did it need to cost $7,000?
Well, did you talk to Mr. Wise about that?
I didn't, about the $7,000? Well, if you're selling it, you may have a different price for a survey, or if you're gifting it, of how much needs to be done.
Are you questioning the cost of the survey? That it cost $7,000 to have this done?
Of what he did? No.
Yeah.
No, I know there's different types of surveys, and maybe you have a different type of survey when you're
Are
gifting
you
something
saying-
versus selling. I don't
Are you
know.
saying that somehow Mr. Wise and the Russians colluded to rip off the estate by charging
No.
too much?
No.
What's the problem with the $7,000 survey?
As an auditor, I would be asking more questions of why it costs $7,000. That would just be a question I would ask. I'm not
Sure.
accusing, that would be a question.
Okay, thank you. So, as an auditor, working on this case, and an investigator in the Attorney General's office, what...
I don't
what-
work for the Attorney General's
I'm sorry,
office.
who-
I'm in the State Police office.
State Police, sorry. In that capacity, for purposes of this trial, what questions did you ask about the $7,000 survey then?
That it was done, and the information I had, that Geraldine wasn't planning on selling the property or
And
gifting
you
it.
just said if you came across this, it would cause you to ask questions. Who did you
Right.
ask questions of? You didn't ask them from Leslie Pointer. You didn't ask them from Kendall Wise. Who did you ask questions from?
No, I said I would ask questions about why it cost $7,000 if I had the information that I knew it needed to be done.
But you didn't.
Correct.
And if you knew now from Leslie Pointer that it's something Granny wanted, that wouldn't be on this list as an example of exploitation, would it? Couldn't be.
If that's what Granny wanted, and we had
Right,
documentation
so we-
showing that Granny
Well,
wanted it.
we've had testimony from Ms. Pointer about that, so we need to take that $7,800 off the list, right? If that's consistent with the testimony in this courtroom.
If that's consistent with the
Okay.
testimony.
Now, let me